Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Khaldun Swise. Today, I want to discuss with you something incredible, something that's altered my life, how to see the invisible and achieve the impossible. I am Khaldun Swise. I am a life coach, professor, and author. And I've been doing this for a number of years now, over 14 years, actually. And I really want to share with you some remarkable, serendipitous ideas that have altered my life. One of those, in the process of seeing the invisible and achieving the impossible, is overcoming our limiting, staggeringly dangerous belief systems that hold us back from seeing what is real in our lives and achieving what we think is impossible. One of the things that does hold us back is based on unconscious belief systems that, for example, are built up from things from our childhood. Take, for example, the elephant at Ringling Brothers Circus, if we can say it properly. So they take a little elephant, a baby, and that elephant is chained or roped up to a pole as a baby. And that little elephant learns not to break away, not to try to run away or escape or cause havoc, because it's just not strong enough. But as that little elephant grows into a majestic animal that it is later on, multi-ton mammal, it can easily break those chains or those ropes, but it doesn't, because this elephant has been programmed as a child to believe that it can't. How many things in our lives today are we limiting ourselves with because of preconceived ideas that I just can't do it? Let me talk about some of these together, and hopefully we'll find some freedom through that. So a limiting belief, what exactly is that? And how does that come into our lives to alter how we think and change how we see the world? Well, a limiting belief is a state of mind or a conviction that you believe to be true, whether it's true or not at some levels, that actually holds you in a form of paralysis. It's an unconscious system of thought, like in an iceberg. You only see the tip, which is what you believe or think you believe, your experiences, but the reality is underneath. Your unresolved hurts, your habits, childhood traumas. These things are limiting your life from breaking out and seeing the world in a proper fashion. Philosophers call our beliefs epistemic realities. These are mindsets. They refer to personal attitudes associated with ideas. Most of these beliefs are not introspected about, but are assumed to be true. For example, most spiritual people believe that God exists or there's a reality beyond us. They take it for granted. They don't assume that it's not. Or atheists assume that the world is only physical. They just take that for granted. An engineer would assume that his engine would work if he does the proper procedures. These are preconceived ideas. And a lot of these ideas, some of them do work, and others, the only reason they work is because you believe them to be true. Let me break that down and get into some of the fascinating aspects of that. Mahatma Gandhi, great political mover and shaker in India, was thrown off a bus at a young age of in his early 20s because of his dark skin. He said the following, and that altered his life, and he became a major social activist for causing change in India. He said the following: man often becomes what he believes himself to be. If I keep on saying to myself that I cannot do a certain thing, it is possible that I may end up by really becoming incapable of doing it. On the contrary, if I have the belief that I can do it, I shall surely acquire the capacity to do it, even if I may not have it at the beginning. Our mindset is powerful. A limiting belief or a sabotaging belief, like I mentioned to you earlier, is a state or mind of conviction that you think to be true, that paralyzes you and stunts your growth. Let's expand on that a little bit. When you say you can't do something, or I'm not worthy, or I have to be perfect about it, I must not make a mistake, I'm not good enough, Nobody loves me. When you believe that enough, you actually start living it out. And it affects your spirit, affects your work, affects your grades, affects your loved ones. It is paralyzing. One of the ways of breaking free of that and seeing the invisible so you can achieve the impossible is recognizing some of these within our own minds and our own mindsets. So I have a bad experience in life. For example, I try to repair or fix something in the home, okay? And then I break the kitchen sink and I cause a flood and my mom goes off on me and my father really gets me into an experience that I will never forget, punishing me, etc. So later on in life, as I try to fix things, I'm afraid because I generalize that if I try to do this, everyone who makes a mistake will be punished severely. So I hold back from trying to fix it. And that causes a sabotaging belief in my life not to try to repair anything that's problematic in my life. I try not to fix it. I try not to send people in to help me out because I'm afraid. And that fear grips me. That fear causes that bad experience again. And it's a cycle that just goes back and forth from a fear to a faulty generalization to a sabotaging belief. It's a system that I get locked into. I need to break out of that. How do I do that? Well, here are some common ones that I've heard. I'm a failure. I just can't make things happen. I can't be happy until my environment changes or my partner gets her attitude straight. I'm too busy. Things just don't work out in my life. There are multiple common belief systems and limiting beliefs in our lives. I'm going to touch on some of these today. I found in my life as a spiritual man, as a Bible-believing Christian, that one of the most primary things you need to do is shape your mind. And you do that, it says in Romans chapter 12, verse 2, to not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. By osmosis, we automatically take on the characteristics, belief systems, lifestyles, clothing, jokes, and even accents of the people around us. It's normal, it's part of human behavior because we are social animals. But the problem is, if the world around us is a certain way, and we have begun to interpret that way as a paradigm that limits our growth and stunts our ability to connect, then we will be unable to be renewed and transformed. So we need to recognize these patterns in our lives that are destructive. And from there, we can start renewing our minds by recognizing who we are and who God is. And once you're able to do that, you can see invisible things and start doing impossible things, or people tell you things that are technically impossible. Let's take a look at some of that. I'm too busy to exercise. That's a big one that comes up. Health. Guys, the vast majority of people have the exact same amount of time, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But our health is critical. In order to create a fulfillment in our lives, in all areas of our lives, we must first master our body. Our health, our energy, our vitality is essential. And if you don't have a healthy body physically, it's hard to have a healthy soul spiritually and have a healthy disposition sociologically. We need to master that with three major areas of life: how much sleep we get, the kind of nutrition we feed ourselves, our diet, and our exercise. And all these come together with how we deal with our stress in our lives to create this healthy trinity. If you can't do that for your life, it's going to continue to spiral downward. We need to take control of that because it's essential for who we are. God made us both physical and spiritual beings. We're a psychosomatic unity. But I don't have time. I've heard that so often. Really? Most people think they don't have time, but guys, here's a fact. You have the exact same number of hours, minutes, and seconds every day as everyone else on the planet. It's a matter of priorities. When my students tell me I don't have time to do homework, professor, I'm too busy, I tell them, all right, can you meet me downtown tomorrow at 7 a.m.? For what? I will give you $1 million. Oh yeah, I'll be there. Oh, really? It's about your priorities. When people tell me they're too busy, I understand. What they're saying is I have other priorities in life that take precedent over you. Let's put our priorities straight. Because when we put first things first, the second things in our lives come into play. But when we put second things first, not only do we lose the first things, we lose the second things as well. Remember, when life gets tough, you don't drown by falling in the waters of misery and pain and suffering and tribulations. You drown by staying there. Lift your head out, reach your hand up to God, and He could pull you out and save you. With a good community around you, as you build that, which we'll talk about that in another session, I think success is powerful and available. Healthy food is too expensive. Really? Many people think it's too expensive, but the fact of the matter is when you add things up, when you really look at the facts, the cost of eating healthy diet versus unhealthy one is about $1.50 to $2 more per day. If I were to go to a fast food restaurant and buy a fast food item like a burger, I'll spend maybe $6 to $7. But if I go to a grocery store and I buy very similar burgers that are fresh made, fresh in the grocery section, I could take those for maybe even half the cost and build a wonderful diet with it. By making those at home with a salad, I could do it at half the cost. Now, if I'm out, I could just order a salad with grilled chicken instead of fried chicken, and that will be just a couple dollars more, maybe even $3 more, but my health is worth it. And I need to be able to build that with my financial wealth. And that is a question that we'll get into in a little bit. But I'm not just good enough with money is the question, right? But if I'm not good with money, I can't make it. I can't succeed. I can't invest. I can't be better at what I'm doing. But that comes to be a serious issue later on. We'll have to address that because over 60% of Americans report not having a spending or investment plan. It's hard to be good at something if you do not have a strategy to improve it. If you do more of the same, you will get more of the same results in life. Now, let's take a look at some of that. You can learn to be better with your money because success leaves clues. People who succeed at the highest level are not lucky. They're doing something differently than everyone else. There's a whole section I can get into about financial resources and how you can grow your finances by being disciplined by what you're spending and what you're making and what you're saving. It is critical to being, especially if you're a man and you want to provide for your family and you want to be that provider and protector, it is critical that you get this part of your life in order and contact a financial advisor and people you know who are good with their money so you can learn their skills and talents so you don't have to live in that bondage. Jeremy Bentham wrote in his book, The Principles of Morals and Legislation, nature has placed mankind under two governances of two sovereign masters, pain and pleasure. It is to them alone to point out what we ought to do, as well as determine what we shall do. On one hand, the standard of right and wrong. On the other, the chain of causes and effects and fastened to their throne. They govern us in all we do, in all we say, in all we think. Every effort we can make to throw off their subjugation will serve to demonstrate and to confirm it. What Bentham is saying there is, either I am a slave to my passions and the things that are driving me toward pleasure, or I'm a slave to the things that cause me pain, and I'm trying to avoid these. So I either got to go toward the thing that maximizes my pleasure and minimize the thing that does me pain and distress. And that is natural human reaction. But a higher level that transforms and is transcended to that recognizes that sometimes you have to do that which is painful and uncomfortable to achieve that which is more pleasurable and brings you more happiness in life, like sitting through a long number of semesters in a school, going to the gym that you may not find pleasurable at the time, but the results are worth it. And that is the difference between maturity and immaturity. But I'm scared of rejection. Oh, rejection. Science has proved that in the area of rejection, your heart rate will drop substantially. Your pupils dilate and the body generally activates the fight or flight syndrome. The truth is, rejection is often just a meaning you make up. Take, for example, you ask a young lady out for a date and she says no, or she says she's too busy. Now, she may have rejected you because she doesn't like you or doesn't like your Elvis-like hairstyle, whatever it is. Or she's dating someone else, or she's going through a very difficult time in her life, or she's just really prioritizing her school and her parents and her children, or something's going on in her life. Maybe that's the reason. It's very easy to take rejection and make it all about me, myself, and I. Maybe another candidate stepped up who was much more qualified than you for the job you applied for. Maybe they didn't reject you for who you are. Maybe they accepted somebody else who had slightly better characteristics and skill talents than you did. Rejection, although it may happen to you, how you interpret it is a state of mind, and how you deal with it can either make or break you. We think real success looks like this. Woo! You know, he made it up there. Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Moses, Gandhi. This is how they did it. But the reality is, ladies and gentlemen, that's not how life works. Real success looks like this. It's ups and downs, being broken, being crushed within your spirit, because I lost a marriage, I lost my children, I lost my father, I lost my jobs, my health was deteriorating. But through that, I learned that from every problem, every distress, every broken situation, there is a way out, and there's a way through it. God will not allow me, I'm convinced as a believer, to go through anything that he will not be with me through it, or provide a way of escape from it. There's a famous book I recommend. It's a children's book called What Do You Do with the Problem? It's a fascinating book. It's about a kid who tries to get away from this ball that follows him everywhere. There's a problem. No matter where he goes, it's always after him. Finally, he gets tired of it. He turns around and faces it, and he looks at the ball and he opens it up, and he realizes inside the ball, there's an opportunity. Every problem, once you face it, is an opportunity for growth, an opportunity to become better, an opportunity to help others see from their problems there are solutions. What about this one? It's a famous one. All the good ones are taken. I don't have time. I just can't find a good girl. There are no good men left. Well, the fact of the matter is 124.6 million single Americans out there, and I think the number is actually higher. Truth. Finding someone is not an impractical dream. It requires getting real and raw with yourself about what you want, and ultimately becoming the person you need to be in order to attract your ideal mate. Rather than trying to find that perfect person or that ideal person, first work on yourself. How can you make yourself the next level of that's better, stronger, wiser, really connected with God? That is the kind of person that will attract the person that you want in life. And whether you get that person or not, you can still trust God that you are becoming better through it. For true love is not in a codependent relationship with another human being, but realizing you're loved by God, and that true love comes from the source of love in him, for Jesus is love. And when you have that, it is very hard to ignore that in you as you shine that light in your eyes to the people around you. I don't have what it takes to succeed. All right, listen to this. This is absolutely fascinating. In 1979, Harvard MBA program conducted a study where graduate students were asked, have you set clear written goals for your future and made plans to accomplish them? Only 3% had written goals and plans. 13% had goals, but they weren't in writing. And 84% had no goals at all. 10 years later, the same group was interviewed again, and 13% of the class who had goals but did not write them down were earning twice the amount of 84% who had no goals, and 3% who had written goals were earning on average 10 times as much as the other 97% of the class combined. In order to achieve success, you need to first commit to making a change, and setting goals in the first step to turning the invisible into the visible. Write it down, hold yourself accountable to it, and you can achieve much more than you thought possible or impossible. Another one, fear. Fear is a failure. Fear is a tough thing in life. It is the number one reason most people are held back. Fear destroys our psychology and immobilizes us from taking action. Fear is hardwired into every human being. Nothing we do in our lifetime will take away our fear. The secret is learning how to use fear instead of letting it use you. I love this passage in Isaiah. Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous, omnipotent hand. When you know that God is with you, what do you have to fear? What are they going to do? Hurt your body? You can be healed. Kill you? You'll be with God. Even if they cause you the most difficult stress in your life, or cause that to happen to you so you make it more stressful, you still can trust that God will work all things for your good if you trust him and love him. Fear can mobilize you, or it can immobilize you. Whatever it is, when a firefighter goes into a building to save a little girl, he's not immune to fear, but despite the fear, he has courage to go through it and complete what he needs to do and save her life. Same thing applies to us. The principle of replacement, I think, is critical as I come down to landing this plane. Swiss psychoanalyst or psychologist Carl Jung wrote and argued that whatever you resist persists. What that means is that the more you try to resist anything in life, the more you focus on it and the stronger it becomes. So rather than trying to resist sexual temptation, replace it or flee from it. Replace it with something good. Rather than trying to resist alcohol, get rid of it from your house. Replace it with something else. Rather than trying to resist watching TV late at night and binging on shows, replace it with something else. Read a book. So replacement is an avenue that you can do to start seeing results in your life and achieving impossible deeds. Replacement is critical. You take the negative beliefs in your life, the limiting ones, and you replace those with liberating truths. Michael Hyatt said the following: the best way to overcome limiting beliefs is to replace them with liberating truths. These truths are, for example, I'm too old. That is a limiting mindset. You could say, oh, I'm experienced to be able to do things better than people who haven't had my experience, right? You can say, I'm divorced. Terrible. It is. But now you have experience to learn what real heartache is, to help others who have gone through that, and to experience the joys of life that come out of the storms. The rainbow emerges. You're able to not only enjoy life better, you're able to make the most of it because you've been through the worst that it could give you. Take those limiting beliefs and replace them with liberating truths. And that, I believe, is the solution to overcoming your limiting belief systems. And one of the many ways you can see the invisible and achieve the impossible in your life. Let me conclude this by telling you, I am, as I said, a coach and professor and author. I have, excuse me, guys, limited slots available. If you really need to see that in your life, and you can achieve that by connecting to somebody you know, go ahead. I recommend you do that with your pastor, your friends. But if you don't have that in your life and you need somebody to step in and walk along the journey with you, send me a direct message on Facebook or on Instagram. Email me at keldoon@logicallyfaithful.com. I have a few slots still available. It's filling up fast. Reach out to me. Maybe we can work together to give you a life that's full of joy and power and start seeing the invisible and achieving the impossible in your life. God bless you.